Welcome, Brain Science Present Ways to Assimilate Fast in 1 Hour. This video talks about how you can assimilate faster. It's disheartening to hear stories of people who study hours yet get bad grades in their academics. No one would believe one could study completely and still not do well. Students and pupils with different academic performances in a term perform differently despite studying for the same number of hours each day. Well, no one is disputing that there are no factors similar to genetics that make two students with the same sweats perform distinctly. Still, everyone could do well irrespective of genetics. It's all about discipline and the right study methods. If you don't assimilate after studying, don't worry, follow the tips below. They are ultimate, tested and realistic tips to help you assimilate faster and better. Study in a group and educate others on what you have learned is a way to assimilate fast. Reading in a group is another way to assimilate and understand your studies more. In this part of the world, this is called a tutorial class. By studying in a group, you have the opportunity of being corrected about topics or subjects you didn't understand very well, and you can prepare well ahead of your group as a group leader. Therefore, you can assimilate better and remember so many things in an exam. Also, in this process, you have been able to learn with your mates, educate them, or get tutored by them as well. This system particularly helps audible learners. Take a study nap is another way. Downtime is important when it comes to retaining what you learn. And getting sleep in between study sessions can boost your recall up to 6 months later, according to new research published in Psychological Science. In an experiment held in France, participants were taught the Swahili translation for 16 French words in 2 sessions. Participants in the wake group completed the first learning session in the morning and the second session in the evening of the same day, while participants in the sleep group completed the first session in the evening, slept, and then completed the second session the following morning. Participants who had slept between sessions recalled about 10 of the 16 words, on average, while those who hadn't slept recalled only about 7.5 words. Our results suggest that interweaving sleep between practice sessions leads to a twofold advantage: reducing the time spent relearning and ensuring a much better long-term retention than practice alone, writes psychological scientist Stephanie Mazza of the University of Lyon. Previous research suggested that sleeping after learning is definitely a good strategy, but now we show that sleeping between 2 learning sessions greatly improves such a strategy. Another way to assimilate fast is study in a quiet terrain or environment. One important factor determining how well we assimilate and understand written words is the terrain where we studied. To assimilate better, make it a habit to study in a quiet terrain or environment devoid of noise and distractions. To further avoid distractions, you could switch off your phone or silence it and turn off the internet connection to stay down from social media. Studying in a quiet terrain increases your attention and helps you assimilate the material you study. Eat a good diet and not junks is another way. The role diet plays in assimilation cannot be overemphasized. Eating good foods and not junk helps us assimilate better. According to scholars, a diet that is high in sugars, fats as well as reused or processed foods in the early stage of life affect assimilation rates. Still, a diet that contains vitamins and nutrients may increase IQ. Eating eggs, healthy snacks, good fats similar to avocados, fatty fish like sardines, Titus and dark chocolate if you're a chocoholic. This helps you assimilate rather than eat junk. Take notes by hand. Make assimilation fast. While it's faster to take notes on a laptop, using a pen and paper will help you learn and comprehend better. Researchers at Princeton University and UCLA found that when students took notes by hand, they listened more actively and were able to identify important concepts. Taking notes on a laptop, however, leads to mindless transcription, as well as an opportunity for distraction, such as email. In 3 studies, we found that students who took notes on laptops performed worse on conceptual questions than students who took notes longhand, writes co-author and Princeton University psychology professor Pam Mueller. We show that whereas taking more notes can be beneficial, laptop note-takers' tendency to transcribe lectures verbatim rather than processing information and reframing it in their own words is detrimental to learning. Change it up is another way. When learning a new motor skill, Changing the way you practice it can help you master it faster, according to a new study at Johns Hopkins University School of Medicine. In an experiment, participants were asked to learn a computer-based task. Those who used a modified learning technique during their second session performed better than those who repeated the same method. The findings suggest that reconsolidation, a process in which existing memories are recalled and modified with new knowledge, plays a key role in strengthening motor skills. Writes Pablo A. Selnick, senior study author and professor of physical medicine and rehabilitation. Teach someone else, or just pretend to. If you imagine that you'll need to teach someone else the material or task you are trying to grasp, you can speed up your learning and remember more, according to a study done at Washington University in St. Louis. The expectation changes your mindset so that you engage in more effective approaches to learning than those who simply learn to pass a test, according to John Nastajko, a postdoctoral researcher in psychology and co-author of the study. Another way is to use the repetition literacy system to Assimilate. You don't need to study all the material at once. All you need do is to read the material over and over again to understand and assimilate it bit by bit. Don't try to study a 500 runners textbook or note in 5 days studying 100 runners a day. That isn't how to read. You would only retain 50% of the material after studying. Rather, have a schedule and study the material in bits. Don't wait until you have a test or an examination to write before you start studying. Start reading.